Good morning, everyone. It's Leah Weens here from Sport for Life. Wanted to welcome you all onto our webinar just to share with you the process for the evaluation on your RBC Learn to Play Innovation Grants. So just to, I guess, reiterate how you all came to be part of this group is we were fortunate enough back in a few months ago, I guess about 6 months ago now, the Public Health Agency of Canada came to the table with some additional funding to support the Learn to Play project. And so as part of that funding, we decided to take advantage of all of the great work that people like you and communities like you are doing, and to be able to support those. And the projects that we identified were really those ones that showed the opportunity to be scaled, the opportunity to be innovative, to have some really great learnings to advance physical literacy in various ways across the country. So, so that's kind of the esteemed group that you're in with us today. And so we're going to be going through a webinar to just explain to you the process for the evaluation, because it is just a little bit different than the regular RBC Learn to Play grant recipients. So what I'll do is right now everybody's muted on your call. If you have any questions, we do encourage you to use the chat box, and I'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar. So if you do have questions that pop up, I'll track those and bring them to the attention of the presenter, and or we'll respond to those at the end. We are anticipating that we should have at least 15 minutes at the end for questions and comments, so we're encouraging you to also engage at that time as well. And we're recording this webinar, and it will be sent out to you within the next couple of days. Barring any technical issues, we should be able to get that out, and so you can revisit it at any point. So with that being said, maybe we'll just move on to the next slide. And this is an overview of the presenters for today. So Batul is going to be providing an overview from the RBC perspective. And then we have Anne Warner, who's going to be coming on to talk about the Smart Simple and reporting from the RBC side of things. And then we have Nathan Hansberger from Propel, who will be talking about some of the other aspects around the supplementary tools and the interviewing process. So this is our agenda for today. So we'll do a quick welcome and overview. We'll talk about the evaluation and reporting, a really brief section on the supports that are available. And I know between Drew and myself and our mentors, we all have kind of worked with you or met with you at some point, but we're happy to follow up on that or answer any questions you have about that on the call today as well. And then we definitely want to, we skipped number 4. I'm not sure what number 4 is. We'll fill that in. Maybe we'll play a game or do some kind of fun activity there. And then number 5 will be our questions. So like I said, we want this to be, fairly informal. We want you to really engage and give us lots of input and feedback so that we can help to make this process as effective as possible for you. So I'm going to hand it over to Batul Nawab, who is going to give us an overview of the Learn to Play project.
Hi, everyone. This is Batul Nawab, Assistant Manager of Corporate Donations at RBC, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the RBC Learn to Play project. So a little bit of background. The RBC Learn to Play project was launched as part of our RBC Kids Pledge, which was our commitment to support over 1 million kids at $100 million. So this project was designed to help improve the physical well-being of kids in Canada as part of it. It's no myth that kids are not spending as much time as they should on physical activity. There's a current inactivity crisis in Canada, as only 5% of kids are meeting the physical literacy guidelines, and they're spending more and more time on the screens as their parents are at work. Now, we also know that there's a positive correlation between physical literacy and improving physical activity. So RBC, along with many partners, came together to tackle this issue head-on. Our vision as part of this project is to provide the right start in sport. Children need to learn the basic fundamental movement skills to develop their confidence, competence, and motivation to be active for life. Our project is a 3-year multifaceted and multi-sectoral approach dedicated to improving physical literacy in kids and encouraging them to get out and play. What's different for our project is that, again, like I mentioned, there are multiple partners, but from an RBC perspective, we have made a charitable commitment to support organizations like yours. Funding is provided by RBC and Public Health Agency of Canada, and our partner, Participaction, is committed to distributing more than $5 million in community and leadership grants, up to $25,000, to increase participation levels and improve the quality of programming. So as you may be aware, in 2012, we awarded $1.6 million to over 180 organizations. In 2015, it was over $2 million awarded to 199 organizations. And this year, we're excited to announce that we will be awarding over $2 million in grants. Now, we also know that turning the corner on this issue is not something we can do on our own. We're honored and proud to say that our partners include some great minds and resources in the sector. We have partnered with Participation and Canadian Sport for Life to provide expertise on the sports sector, while Propel provides evaluation support to grantees. RBC and the Public Health Agency of Canada have come together as funders for this project, as you can see, all the participants in this program. Now, can you please move to the next slide? So what makes our project unique? So what's different about this project is that we aim to go from transactional to transformational to move the needle on the physical inactivity crisis in Canada. Now, we have subject matter experts on the team who provide capacity building supports to develop good programming. And the evaluation team at Propel and RBC play a key role in guiding the sector towards measuring the quality of their programming. So the project, therefore, aims to transform the way sport is delivered in communities across Canada. So I'm going to hand it over to Anne Wardner, who will review the evaluation piece with everyone.
Thank you, Batul. Hi, everyone. We're really happy to have you here on the phone. I'm going to explain the Smart Simple section of our evaluation requirements. So there's two evaluation requirement pieces, which we'll go over. And the RBC part is located on your Smart Simple, on the Smart Simple platform where you applied. So first of all, I wanted to start off with talking about why we evaluate. RBC has actually created a team that's focused on social impact measurement. It is a very unique team in the financial sector in that no other bank has this team. So we're very committed at RBC to measuring impact, to understanding how these programs we support contribute to the Canadian community and landscape. So program impact is a very big reason why we ask you to evaluate. We also want to help our grantees build capacity, and that's part of that we feel is showing you what some of the strengths and weaknesses of your programs are through evaluation. We also hope that by understanding the impact of your program, you'll be able to get additional funding opportunities with other funders outside of RBC. And then overall, all of our projects, we ask our grantees to evaluate, so not just the Learn to Play program. And we aggregate all of that data to have a wider view of the impact that our dollars are making on the community. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, there are different parts to the evaluation requirements. So the first part is Smart Simple reporting, and you've all already completed your application. And we're hopeful that while your program has been going on, some of you I know are finished, some of you have ongoing programs or programs that may not have started, but I believe that most of you have programs that are either finished or ongoing. We're hopeful that you will have collected data during your program. Then the final step for the year-end Smart Simple reporting is completing the year-end report, which I will go into more detail. We will also be doing an appreciative inquiry interview with you, and my colleague Nathan at Propel will go into more detail about that. We're really excited about these interviews, and it really adds a more colorful story to the Learn to Play program, so stay tuned for that. Another part is the RBC Supplementary Tools that Nathan will also go through with you. And there are two parts to that, which is the training event survey. So if there are training events in your program, then you would use this survey. And then there's also the community assessment tool. So that's really a good overview of the expectations of evaluation, the three different sections within this grant. Next slide, please. Smart Simple reporting. Next slide. Okay, so I wanted to go over the Smart Simple reporting process. I briefly went over it just in that other slide, but there are 3 phases. In the application, you have already completed your goal and baseline units, description, etc. for each of the indicators you've selected. So after the application, we go through a data collection phase, which most of you will have already completed, where you collect all the information that you will report in the final stage, which is the year-end report. For Learn to Play, we have 4 sections. Goals impacting children and youth and general reporting are mandatory, so you have indicators within that section that we ask all grantees to report on. And then capacity building and economic, we ask you to select 2. Next slide, please. So you can find, when you log into Smart Simple, you can find your year-end report by going into the Progress and Final Reports tab that you see indicated by this red arrow. Next slide, please. So once you click on that and you go into the Impact Measures and Reporting section of your year-end report, you will see all the indicators that the mandatory and selected indicators from your application will pre-populate. And on the bottom, if you look on the bottom where it says General Reporting, you'll see that the column headers say goal, goal quantity, goal unit, goal description, baseline, and then results. So in your year-end report, your baseline and goal quantities, etc., will be filled in, and your results are what you need to fill in for your year-end report. And what we do very simply to measure our impact is to compare the value in the, can we go back? To compare the value in the goal, in the baseline quantity versus the result quantity. So we're really looking at, is there a difference in that number? Next slide, please. So let's go over an example so that you can see here the 3 phases. We've got application, data collection, year-end report. So in the application, for this particular indicator, number of children who pass the standardized level in their program, you've already filled out the baseline quantity, units, description, and the goal quantity, units, and description. And the goal is really for you to set a goal for your program. It's not something that we use in our analysis. We want our grantees to just have an idea of what they'd like to accomplish. So when you go in to do your year-end report, the results quantity, results unit, results description, and standard used, that's what you'll be filling out. And please do not worry if your results quantity does not line up to your goal quantity. Measurement is all about identifying strengths and weaknesses, and we're not concerned about that at all. So just please know that. The results unit, we really ask that you identify the unit. The unit should be the same as the baseline and goal quantity. Sorry, the baseline unit and the goal unit. And then results description, if you could describe what that result is. And then the standard used for this particular one, it would have been, you would have collected this information on your own. So it's the program records would be the standard. Next slide. So we have an evaluation guidebook that gives you a step-by-step evaluation support. So everything that I've just talked about and we will talk about, other than the interview information, will be in the evaluation guidebook. So we really encourage you to take a look at that. It's available to all of you under the Additional Resources tab on Smart Simple. And again, it will give you step-by-step guidelines on how to complete your year-end report. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to pass it on to Nathan from Propel to take you through the interviews. Nathan, do we have you?
Oh, sorry, I had it on mute there.
Okay, over to Nathan.
Yeah, so we can move on to the next slide. So the interview component here is really what distinguishes you, our innovation grantees, from our other leadership grantees. And so this is the piece that we added that was unique to you. And these interviews will be used to capture key features and successes of your project, as well as give you an opportunity to share some of your knowledge with us. So the telephone interviews will occur in early fall, but we'll, can you go back? They'll occur in early fall, but we'll connect with you individually, and we can schedule through that as well and discuss some specifics, like if you want to see the interview guide or anything like that. So I wouldn't worry too much about that right now. We'll connect with you individually. And for these interviews, we're really interested in getting the full picture of your project. So we may want to speak with more than one of you, and this can be more than one person on the call, or we can break it up into a couple shorter calls, really whatever works best for you. And these interviews will be conducted using an appreciative inquiry approach, and this really just means that we'll be focusing on what was achieved, what helped the project be successful, and what can be done in the future to make that project or similar projects more successful. So these interviews will be really positive and future action oriented, rather than identifying shortfalls or dwelling on issues. So hopefully that takes a little bit of the pressure off there. And for these interviews, we'll begin with an open discussion of what the grant allowed you to do, and also try and get a sense of your role and what motivated you to be involved in the project. Then we'll probe a little bit deeper into what your project was able to accomplish within your community, the influence of the RBC Learn to Play grant, your experiences related to working with others within your project, and also your next steps. We'll also have a few questions at the end to allow you to share some additional insights and lessons learned based on your experience and expertise within that type of project. So we can go to the next slide now.
Nathan, I'm just going to jump in for a second. It's Leah here, and I wanted to give a little bit of background on sort of how you guys came to be, I guess, doing the interviews, and a lot of it was with the conversations around how many great learnings there are that we're observing, but also connections between the projects and the different sites across the country that might be working on similar things. And so with Drew and I really working closely with you and sharing that, I think there was a lot of interest in Propel kind of trying to gather those really kind of intangible pieces that we can't measure, but that I think are really the game changers here. So, so just to kind of give everybody a little bit of context around that, and what a great opportunity this is to be able to kind of package this and not only share it for the RBC evaluation component, but we're hoping to be able to get stories that we can share really across the country to help you guys be really examples of how we can innovate and how we can scale and have impact across the country. So I just wanted to jump in with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's something that it's hard to capture with kind of a standardized set of measures too, like those variations in the projects. And these projects really were meant to be scalable. So it'll be really important to capture those lessons learned in additional detail. So the supplementary tools, we'll go on to that. So these supplementary tools were developed to assess specific components of the grant projects. And there's 4 categories of supplementary tools available within the site, but you'll only be responsible for using 2. So as mentioned before, the community assessment tool and the training event survey. The community assessment tool is used to assess changes in, just back one slide again. The community assessment tool is used to assess changes in capacity in your community. You'll need to complete the tool twice to assess change. So as soon as possible, reflecting on your community before you receive the grant, and then completing it again at the end of the grant period. And the training event surveys, those are used to assess the effectiveness and appropriateness of your training events, and those need to be used anytime that you offer a training. So you can then send these out through email to any trainings that you've already completed. The training event surveys, for the training event surveys, we'll develop reports for each of you so that you can use the information that you collect. And so keep in mind that the more surveys that you're able to have completed, the more meaningful your report will be in the end. And you can use these reports and any other information that you collect about your project to help you plan for the future, as well as know about and provide proof of your impact and changes that you're doing in your community. Next slide. So this is just a reminder about that key guidebook resource. Within the guidebook, there's step-by-step instructions for how to access and use the supplementary tools, as well as some really good helpful templates for handouts, emails, posters, information letters, and other things that can be used to promote the training event survey. And just to make sure that you get a copy, we will be sending these through email, but they're also available on SmartSimple. Next slide. So when you go to the Supplementary Tools website using the link at the bottom of the screen there, this is what you'll see first, and this is your grantee login page. And the first time you go to this site, you'll have to use the Register Here button at the bottom. And for this entire site, if you have any issues at all, you can contact me directly or use the learntoplay@rbc.com, and you'll be helped there. So I mean, if you have any trouble, you forget your password or anything like that, connect with us right away and we can help you out. Next slide. So the registration is really simple. Just email, name, organization name, and password, then click register. And just make sure that you fill in all the information so that we can actually link up your survey site registration to the SmartSimple records, and then we can track who has signed in, who hasn't, and better support you as we go along. So next slide. So once you're actually into the survey administration page, this is the only page you'll see, so it's really easy to navigate. You don't have to click around very much. So within each of the surveys, you'll see a participant URL link, and these are the written links that should be copied and sent to trainees whenever possible. There's also a QR code, which is that picture on the right side. Some people will be familiar with these. You don't have to use these, but these are just to supplement the written link if you feel that people would be interested in using that method as well. There's also a number listed under Survey Started. This indicates how many times the survey tool has been accessed. You can use this to estimate the number of surveys completed, but just remember that not all starts are completed surveys. So this is really just the maximum number that could have been completed. If you ever want to know for sure how many have been completed, we're happy to help look for that for you, so you can just email us at any time. You also notice that, just back one slide again, sorry. You also notice that for some of the tools, there's PDF documents. So for both the training event survey and the community assessment tool, they're also available in PDF so that you can print them. And it's really important that you use the survey links that are on this survey administration page. If you send out the link to the grantee login, you're not going to have people completing the surveys. And you can also print this so that you have offline access to your survey links. Some people find that helpful as well. So next slide. I'm going to walk you through the training event survey real quick. So the training event survey assesses what the training session was, what trainings that the trainees have had before, potential number of children that they will impact, change in understanding of physical literacy, intent and ability to apply knowledge, satisfaction, and other comments. Survey also gives an opportunity for participants to list one thing that they will do or have done differently as a result of the training. So those are always interesting insights to get back to see what actual impacts your trainings are potentially having on the trainees. So this screenshot represents the print version of the survey. The online survey has one screen per page, and it's mobile optimized, so people can complete it on their smartphones as well, if you want to do that at the end of the training. And it really should be completed as soon as possible after the training session, but the easiest way that most grantees have found to conduct this survey is just sending out an email link through an email to your list of trainees after the event. So just going to, next slide. just going to run through really the key steps in doing this training event survey. So again, just to reiterate, you have to go in to the Supplementary Tools site, get your link. Then you can either copy your link into an email, or you can print out the survey. If you do use the print surveys, you'll have to copy the responses into the online survey. And then at the very end, once you're done collecting all the responses, then you can request your survey report. So again, you can contact me directly, or you can use the RBC or learntoplay@rbc.com email address, and we will send you the report as soon as possible. So next slide. So I'll walk you through the community assessment tool as well, and this is the one used to measure community level changes. So this will really help you to get a sense of your community strengths and other areas that you may need to target to have the most impactful improvements. It also provides you with an overall score, so you can get a sense of where your community is at overall. And for those of you familiar with the Sport for Life tool, the community assessment tool is similar to the community assessment quick scan that was developed previously, but it was refined to be a little bit more specific to the RBC Learn to Play project. And next slide. We'll just give you a sample of how you can complete this tool. And really, it's going to require a little bit of thinking and judgment on your own part to interpret your community stage. But if you go through it, you should be able to get a sense of where you're at. And so for each section, there's specific elements that address your community's capacity to support the development of physical literacy. And the stages for each element includes first steps, exploring, mobilizing, transforming, and championing. And there's also a response option if you're just not too sure and you can't provide a response at this time. So I'll walk you through an example. So the example I've chosen here is responding to, oh, back one slide. So the example I've chosen here is our school boards have identified physical literacy as a board and curricular priority. So if I knew that physical literacy was a local issue and that approaching a school board might be a solution, I would be in the first steps phase. If I chose to approach school boards but didn't yet have a specific plan or dedicated working hours or other resources, then I'd be in the exploring phase. If I had developed a strategy for supporting the school board and obtained a grant or had staffed my specific strategy, I'd be in the mobilizing phase. If I've already implemented my strategy and the school board's fully on board, has begun prioritizing physical literacy development, and changes are beginning to occur, I would be in the transforming stage. And if changes have occurred and I've moved into a second phase of development, or if I'm sharing our successes and lessons learned with others, I'd be in the championing phase. And finally, if my team and I cannot confirm what's being done at the school board level in regards to physical literacy, I'd just be unable to answer at this time. So I'll walk you through, next slide, walk you through the key steps here. Again, log into the tool site, use that PDF link to print a paper copy, and then complete the tool by yourself or as a team. We really recommend that you complete this as a team. It can be used like as a planning tool, but at a minimum, just through discussions on completing this tool, it'll help you get some common understanding of what's going on in your community. And then also, if you do complete the paper copy, then you'll have a copy of what you guys decided on for each of those categories for your own records. Next slide. So this slide just overviews kind of the general timelines. So your first step will be complete that community assessment tool, and this would be reflecting on the beginning of the grant period. And then also making sure that you're collecting participant information. So if you can add the key pieces there, so that's age, gender, and first 3 digits of postal code to any training enrollment, that would be great, so you can capture that information. And so yeah, participants refers to training event participants in this case. And then also collecting information on the Smart Simple indicators, and that'll be ongoing, and that'll support your year-end report. And then also training event surveys whenever you have a training event, or if you've already had training events, make sure that you send out those emails. And then also a community assessment at the very end. So the supplementary tools, so the training event survey and the community assessment, you have to complete those by the end of September. The community assessment tool you can complete a little bit later, but we just want to make sure that you get all your training event surveys in, so we have time to develop your report and send it back to you before the grant period wraps up at the end of October, which is when your final reports are due. Next slide. So we do have a variety of evaluation supports for you. The key one here is the contact information. So if you have any issues, contact one of us, or really any of the staff for RBC Learn to Play, and they'll connect you with the right person to help you with any evaluation piece. So through that, you can get unlimited evaluation support consultations for anything related to the RBC Learn to Play evaluation, and then also the supplementary tools, like technical support and assistance with Smart Simple reporting. If you're having an issue with the Smart Simple site, you can contact them directly as well, and also that evaluation guidebook. So it's really your step-by-step instructions and variety of other templates and tools. Next slide. So that was quite a bit of information, and I know I've repeated a few things, but just to reiterate again, the key take home here is go to the survey site, get your links so that you're ready when you need them. Also plan out how you'll collect data before your program starts. I guess that's a little bit late now for those of you who have already started or completed, but just get a sense of what data you have. And also related to that is the participant information. And don't forget to promote the surveys as well. So I mean, you can use the templates in the guidebook, and sometimes, like, if you notice that you're not getting a large response, you can send out a reminder to complete the surveys as well. And really make the most of the experience. There's a lot of supports available to you, not just evaluation supports. So get connected and make sure that you're using all the available supports. And I'll pass it over to Leah now to overview the other supports available.
All right, I think this is where we insert number